Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Tiffany.
To some, we could be called career wizards.
And to others, sometimes we seem like therapists. However, we definitely are not.
But for you, we are the co-hosts of the Career Boosters podcast.
So I think learning these values and being able to recognize what's important for me and how I can use or incorporate these values in like the programs that I'm applying for or the program or the people that I'm going to be working with, like, are those the people that will help me or that will support my values?
Hello and welcome to the Career Boosters podcast, Season 3, Episode 7. This week in class with our MBA students, we talked all about what we value. Our core values, to be specific. When we look at our core values, I look at them as pillars. Pillars to help us understand ourselves in an easy way. Pillars to help us say no to things. And these can come from many, many different directions and places. Things like society, our relationships that we have, our community, where we come from, the culture we may have been brought up in, and what we are being and have been exposed to when it comes to the way we live and the way that we have maneuvered to where we are now. We had an activity that comes actually from one of the most fascinating thought leaders, in my opinion, Brené Brown, when it comes to values and core values. And that comes from her Dare to Lead book and program, where she really gets people to dive into words that really mean something to them, helps them and looks at defining them, and helps and looks at understanding what behaviors could be attached to some of those core values. One of the students that was in our class has joined us today. Muhammad Israr-Ul-Haq has joined us today, and he was one of the students that really, you could tell, was really fascinated and interested in what we were kind of sharing and talking about. And so, Muhammad, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I get to start with the first question. What's the story behind your decision to embark on an MBA journey right now?
Thank you so much, Paul and Tiffany, for having me, and thank you for that great introduction. Um, my journey is a little bit of a different journey getting to MBA than the usual route that people may take. So a little bit of background about myself is that I am a registered nurse. I worked as a nurse for 4 years, and then I went into medical school, did the medical degree, completed that, and then unfortunately I didn't match into my residency last year when I had applied for it. So I had a year to, I could either apply again for the residency or take another year and then do something that I wanted to improve myself on and then apply again next year. So some of the options that I was doing was either graduate and then I could have gone back to start working as a nurse or do something else like a research paper or do the MBA. Especially here at the UFA, they offer this program where you can combine the MD MBA program and do an extended year. And so that's kind of how I got introduced to it. And then I was actually connected with two of the previous MBA students from last year. So I spoke to them a bit about this, and they had really good things to say about the MBA program and how well it prepares you for the CARMS interview and life in general. Like, I believe as a physician, when you're practicing or you have a clinic, you are managing people, you are kind of running your own business. So in medical school or in nursing, you don't get taught much of business or finance or how to manage people. So I thought this would be a good learning opportunity in that regard as well. So here I am learning, and it's been going great so far.
That's so cool. We
Yeah,
actually paid those past two MD MBA students to tell you all good things. So to have you come back and and we want you in our program, and we're very thankful and happy that you're here. So you're about 6 weeks into an MBA so far. What's been the highlight or the best
yeah.
experience so far?
I think the highlight or the main thing that I got out of it is kind of the connections that I've built so far, like the friends and like the community that I've built so far. I mean, the learning is great, but that is one part of it. But yeah, getting to know people, getting to know their stories, and them getting to know me, know my story. Um, and I've actually joined a few extracurricular activities as well. So those are also very helpful in kind of keeping me sane in a way. So like even last night we were playing futsal and that was a lot of fun. We were running around and getting to meet people from other cohorts. Like I'm in the full-time track, but then there were people from the part-time and then people that were second year. So I thought that was really cool. And I got
One,
a
I have.
workout in.
Yeah, yeah, nice. One, I have to ask a follow-up question. I know it's Tiffany's turn to ask a question, but no MBA students were hurt during the futsal game, were they? Because I know that many MBA students get hurt when they are participating in sports. There were no injuries, hopefully, were there?
No, last night there
Thank
was
heavens.
none.
Thank
One of our
heavens.
player actually almost got a yellow card for hurting other people.
Oh
So
gosh. Okay.
we
Who
were
knew
the
MBA
offensive
students were
team.
so violent? Yeah. Okay.
No, we were just excited to
Just
be there.
joking. Just joking.
But now Paul has jinxed the next game by asking during this game. Oh man, Mohammed, I really appreciate that you have just furthered, and I think we should actually start maybe theming some of these responses as students are saying what's been the best part so far. Because hands down, doesn't matter who you ask, when you ask, whether they're in it, whether they're alumni, the people in the relationships just keep coming up as the top kind of best part of the MBA. So I appreciate that you're leaning in and that you're enjoying that and that you're furthering that message
Yeah.
that this really is truly about the people that you get to know and how you get to know them, which is kind of cool. And I would offer
Okay.
that one of those people that you're getting to know is you. Like, I think we take ourselves off that list, and I don't know why. I think a big part of the MBA is actually an internal journey, which is what we're here to chat about, and the journey of figuring out what our core values are. And we'll get to the fun exercise that we did because there's always a lot of reactions to that. But I want to know before this class, what
Yeah.
were you coming in with? Or not with around what you already knew and had worked on about your core values.
So yeah, I had heard of these terms like what our values are, what our core values, and you should kind of know them. And the context I've heard about it is in like when you're going out for a date, like you want to align your values with your date and see if you would be a good match or not. So that's kind of the context I had about values.
That's
But
fabulous.
yeah, I never actually thought of using values as in kind of the building blocks for your career or for your um, uh, education or like just building friendships. So that was different for me at least. So, and then I never actually had put in the work to get to know my values or get to know like what I truly have as my core values. Like I had a general idea, but never put in the work. So during this class, we were able to do that, and that was really helpful.
Hmm. What do you think then, now having spent a little bit more time with them? Because we started class talking about kind of where do our values come from, what are they, and how the heck do we get them? What do you think, as you're starting to dig into this, has shaped some of your core values?
I think some, um, so if I may, I'll share my core values. Um,
Yeah, please
so
do.
one of them was compassion, another one was humor, and another one was knowledge, and I forgot the fourth one now. But those were the main ones. And I think part of it is kind of like compassion comes from how I'm brought up, like especially my mom, like she's been, and both of my parents, I guess, like they've sacrificed a lot for our education, immigrating from Pakistan to coming to Canada, and still having a positive attitude, treating people right. Um, so I think that kind of instilled that value of compassion and seeking knowledge has always been one thing that's ingrained in me from childhood essentially is that if you want to be successful or if you want to make something of yourself, like learning or getting education is the way to go essentially. So, and thankfully, like once I started attending school, my kind of the need for knowledge or wanting to know more stuff kind of kept growing. So there's that thing is like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So it's like
Yeah.
the more I'm learning that what I don't know. So it's just I'm happy to be learning a lot and having fun or humor. I think is a big part of my values. Like anywhere I go, I want to make sure people are comfortable. I think it makes people feel happy to be there. They're not tense up. They can be themselves, and I can be myself as well. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome.
last one I just
Yep.
remembered is
Okay.
health.
Yeah.
That is one of my core values as well. Is like trying to incorporate some sort of health activity, whether it be working out or playing
Awesome.
futsal or going for a walk. Like I enjoy that.
That's so cool. It's
Yeah.
Mohammed, I love all of the kind of sprouts that you kind of use to kind of get to the place that you can start to understand these kind of four things that mean something to you, right? And now I understand why you enjoy Business 501 or Biz 501 R course because of humor. And luckily enough, you get to laugh all the time when Tiffany's facilitating. So
No, you get to
thank you for
laugh all
sharing.
the time at Paul. Let's
Yeah,
be
yeah,
clear.
yeah.
Yes.
It's fun. It's fun.
Both of you are funny.
Yeah, thanks. And I think, the thing I really appreciated about what you said is around like you used it like when you're dating somebody, but I think when we think about building relationships with people,
Yeah.
professional or personal relationships, when we kind of have a shared value or a shared kind of mission statement, if you will, we tend to be more connected, which I think is beautiful, right? And I think that it just helps build trust, which I think we all are looking for, especially when building human skills, right? So I think that's really cool. So, as you have reflected on your values, what questions have been helpful to ask yourself to help you get further clarity on these?
There's few questions, or one of the main questions was like, are these the values that I value in my personal life or professional life? And how have these values kind of come up? Like, even though I've never actually sat down and recognized these values as my core values, but I've reflected back on a few situations in my life where these values have been prominent, and that helped to kind of, it was like kind of a mind-boggling thing when we worked through it. It was like, how did this kind of all work or came into place? So I think thinking back at some of the um, events that I've had or interactions I've had with people where they were more um, impacting in my life, these were some of the values that were prominent in those interactions.
Mm. I really appreciate the term that you just used of mind boggling. Because I
Yeah,
think the journey to figure out what truly is important to us is actually mind boggling. And I would perhaps expand that to also be heart boggling. And I will link this to the activity that we took you through in class because Paul and I watched all of your brains go
yeah,
as as so for those of you listening, we had them circle 10 important words out of a list of, I don't know, 80 from Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. And it's hard enough to take a look at 80 really great words and even just pick 10. That's hard
yeah,
enough. But then in class, we go through a bit of a storytelling, and one by one, you all had to take a giant black marker and cross out some of your values so that you got down to the top four.
yeah.
And the looks on your faces, yours included, and some of the comments that you all make, and it happens every time we've done this, is that it is mind blowing, heart blowing, gut wrenching as you guys are like crossing off good words on a list. Tell me how you experienced that activity.
Definitely the beginning, the first thing that you said was like trying to choose like 10 things from a list of 80, which are all really amazing things. And it's like, what's important to me? And going down the list is like, okay, this can fit, this can fit, this can fit, but it's like trying to choose the 10, it wasn't easy. But then, yeah, coming up with 10, we did eventually come up with 10. And then going through that story of crossing out one at a time, and it's like, I chose these, and I kind of like you build that sense of attachment with those words or values, and then having to let go of them or crossing them out is like, am I betraying myself in a way?
Yeah.
And I think one of the comments one of the other classmates made was like, you try to cross out values that kind of overlap with each other. So
Hmm.
it like one of my other values was having fun, and then I had humor. So I crossed out fun, thinking humor would kind of cover that part.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I crossed out some of them, and then some of them I was like, there's no other value here that reflects that. So I guess we're just letting it go.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
we can always try to check in with like connection points, right? Like how can we connect, like you said, fun and humor together? How can we look at honesty and integrity and how they can kind of live together? But maybe trust is the big part of honesty and integrity, right? Like there's
yeah,
so many ways we can look at values, but I think what we need is we need to feel that these like really mean something to us, right? And I think once that feeling kind of starts to hit us, that Tiffany does such a wonderful job at connecting through that story for you guys to come up with like a top four, like a top four list of like, okay, here's four that I didn't have to cross out that I can now like really lean into, right? And I think
yeah.
that's a really wonderful, activity to try and like help you um, reduce the amount of noise is what I will call
Yes.
it. So I think that's a really keen insight. What insights do you have around your values now after you've spent time on this topic in our class? What are the kind of like takeaways for you? What insights have you gleaned?
I guess uh, reflecting back to my experiences as a nurse and then like medical school journey as well, I found that whenever I was able to kind of lean into those values of compassion, humor, health, and seeking knowledge, those were the times where I found myself kind of at peace or harmony. Like those were the times where it's like I enjoyed the journey. Like I'm happy that I am a nurse or I'm going through medical school. Like I'm seeking knowledge and I treat my patients with compassion and try to incorporate some humor in there, especially when they're having their like a lot of pain or they're going through a lot of misery. So I try to be that kind of one sense of like in their day, like just make them happy and um every day, like I try to make sure I'm doing some sort of activity where I can look after my own health, not just my patients. So if I can hit all of those things, like in part of my week or part of my day, I found like that's been a productive day for me, or that's been a worthwhile week for me. So reflecting back, it kind of makes sense why those things mattered. But now I can put a label to it. It's like because it hit these values, I was
Hmm.
able to enjoy myself.
And what I really want to hone in on is you just talked about still hard experiences. So you were values aligned, which brought you peace, but that does not mean that it was an easy walk in the park, especially in
No.
medicine, right? Those are still tough experiences, but when you can be values aligned within a tough experience,
Yeah.
the extra access to some peace and grounding that offers you, which I think is a beautiful tie-in to the next question. You are in what we call a CARMS process. I'm going to let you explain it. I'm curious how we connect this work on values, understanding yourself more, to this thing called CARMS that you are about to approach again. Tell us what that is and tell us how that connects for you.
Definitely. So ARMS is the Canadian Residency Match Program. So all the medical students across Canada have to apply for residency at the end of their 3 or 4 years. And essentially everybody applies into this one pool and you rank the school or the program that you want to go to, and then the school or the program ranks you, they like you or not. And then depending on where that match happens, then you go there. So that's the match program. And yeah, I'll be participating in it, and the applications are open right now. And we'll submit the applications end of November, and then they ask us interview or offer interviews in January, February, and then March is kind of the match date. And I think like learning more about myself. So last, I do have experience from last year, like the interview questions. Like everybody asked the same question. The consistent question was like, "Tell me about yourself." And I've had hard time trying to tell people is like, what do you tell about yourself? Like, you don't do a lot of self-reflection, or you don't do a lot of like, you can't really say good, like you can say good things about other people, but it's hard saying like what you've done to yourself. So I've always found that question to be a bit more challenging. So I think learning these values and being able to recognize what's important for me and how I can use or incorporate these values in like the programs that I'm applying for, or the program or the people that I'm going to be working with, like, are those the people that will help me or that will support my values? Like, if a program doesn't value compassion, then that program may not be for me.
Yeah.
Or if there's no humor or health or
Hmm.
seeking knowledge, then that may not be the right spot for me to go. So I think
Yeah.
this does help me kind of understand that a bit more and recognize that what I may have wanted may not actually be good for me.
Yeah. That's so cool that you pointed
Yeah,
out the fact that you can look at maybe, yeah, what can you offer the other organization that you maybe, or the hospital or the clinic or whatever that you're reaching out to, but you can
yeah,
also help that, like, our values can help us make decisions, right? Help us have better alignment and fits and things like that. It can even help you build questions out around how you want to ask questions around, like, what is your version of compassion to your patients, right? And it really can help you just really firmly know and understand yourself and how to make better decisions for yourself. And the fun thing when I hear you talk about all of this and the knowledge of self, that is just going to continue to grow. This is just like the little spark at the front end of like a journey of personal growth when it comes to working with Tiffany and I. And the reason is we start with values, but then we
yeah,
maneuver into our strengths, our own emotional intelligence, and then like all things that are going to help you answer that question of tell me about yourself, which is so powerful when you feel like I know myself better, so I can
yeah.
actually answer that question better, and off you go, right? Mohammed, I'm going to ask you one more question before kind of Tiffany leans into the lightning round.
Sounds
What
good.
is next for you in your values journey? So you've already learned about these kind of four values: humor, compassion, knowledge, and health. What's next for you when it comes to this journey?
I think I actually met with Tiffany yesterday for our coaching session. So we kind of talked a little bit about was kind of these values may be kind of the surface and kind of dig underneath what's underneath all of that, and um, do a bit more introspective, like reflection on it, and relate how these values kind of impact my emotions as well. Um, like Tiffany shared the emotional wheel yesterday as well, and work through that and see where these values originated from, and what is there something that underlying all of those that is common. And we talked about having maybe one or two core values, and see if I can reduce it down to maybe two core values. And I actually listened to Brene Brown's podcast last night, and she said that, yeah, two is kind of the core values that you should only have. And I think my work will be to kind of reflect a bit more and define it a bit more, see what's uh, like really important for me.
Hmm. I will just share for the listeners that Brene Brown has done a whole bunch of research, many, many years. This is spanning, I think, the last 10 years of her research. And for her, and in her Dare to Lead book, and when she talks about them, there's a new podcast out with Adam Grant. She talks about reverse engineering from her research, chatting with our most successful leaders globally, that those leaders had one or two core values. Every single one of them. Nobody had ever more than two. Many of them had one. And so from their research, they kind of reverse engineered that. And so do we get to two easily? No. It's mind boggling and gut
Yeah,
wrenching and like a whole bunch of inner work. But it really is that if everything is a value, nothing's a value. So, how can we understand which ones we value most? And it's not about not valuing something else, it's understanding where it falls in the ladder of values, I think, for sure. And I'm looking forward to working that through with you. So,
thank you.
all right, Paul and I can just keep talking about values because we just enjoy this topic, but it is time for a lightning round. You ready?
Certainly.
Let's do it. 3 quick questions, 3 gut answers. What is it about your career story that has given you the biggest boost?
I think one word I would say is persistence, like I'm
Mm.
persistently improving or not giving up, essentially.
Mm-hmm. What's one thing you wish you'd learned sooner?
Learn to take more risks. I think that's one thing
Mm.
I've learned a lot is learn to take more risks.
Cool. Service is something that Paul and I live and breathe every day, so we're always curious to hear how it's going to show up for you in the coming week.
I think for me, it's also an important part of my life, and it's through helping my coworkers, helping my classmates with homework, and more importantly, helping my patients.
Mm. Mm-hmm. You've got a big sphere that you're able to serve. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you're up. Paul's a random question.
I'm not going to lie, I was panicking a little bit before this because I was like, oh my God, what do I ask him? I have not even thought about this.
No worries.
Mohammed, I I've thought of it now. Little secret to tell you. I need to like blabble a little bit, and then boom, something comes to me. So here you are, Mohammed. You like humor,
Yeah.
fun, and humor. When was the last time that you like belly laughed, like really laughed, that like really just shook you, that you were like, that was awesome?
I think it was actually last night in the football game. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name drop anybody from our class, but Jordan was on our team, and I'm sure you guys know Jordan. And I feel like whenever I see him, there's always like we have a good sense of humor. So I was I had a fun time last night, and the rest of the team as well. So it was a good time.
I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Yeah.
Laughter is so key, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
research behind laughter and facial expression and laughing and the chemicals we get in our brain. And I really appreciate that it is part of your own understanding of yourself, of what's important to you.
Yeah.
Mohammed, you're right. You and I met yesterday and had a lovely, deeper conversation behind your values. And what I am seeing and have been seeing since the beginning of the MBA is just that you're leaning in to yourself. You're leaning into others, and you're leaning into service, and you're leaning into academics, and there's lots of stuff to lean into in the MBA. But
Yeah.
what I really am excited to see is that you are truly leaning into yourself. And that doesn't mean it's comfortable. It means that there's mind boggling and confusion. And I ask you a question, and the look is, gosh darn, I haven't thought of that. Right? But you are leaning in. And where that's going to take you is many places. I mean, who the heck knows? But it's truly going to take you meaningful, purposeful, values aligned places. And I can't wait to both be a little part of your journey, but to see where that takes you. So thank you for sharing with us and for sharing kind of the early parts of a values journey, because I actually don't think we surface that enough. So thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Well, no, thank you for leading me or asking the right questions and kind of making me go through that uncomfortable process of introspective reflection and learning more about myself. So I do appreciate that time and energy that you give me.
You're welcome. And hang on, there's more to come. All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right. Values, key messages. It's funny, Paul, before we just did this, Paul and I just took another big deep breath. I don't know about you, Paul, but there are some days where I just need to take deeper breaths than others. And I think today's one of them.
Hmm.
So I really actually appreciated a lot of these messages of kind of grounding back in our values. And the one that stuck out to me, because I loved the word, is that values work is mind boggling. And I will expand that to heart boggling and gut wrenching. And I think the deeper message is that so many of us shy away from values work because it's hard. It is hard, it's confusing, it's tough, it's mind boggling. And because of that, we steer kind of clear of it and we don't get clear on our values. And I think that's a big
Yeah.
disservice to ourselves. So sit with the it's meant to feel mind boggling.
Yeah.
Sit with it, and really great things happen. So
Yeah.
that was mine.
For me, values are one of the things that I probably enjoy going through with students the most. Values and strengths are things that
Mm-hmm.
really resonate with me a lot, because I think it has helped me understand so much more about myself. The part that he talked about is the connection of values to harmony or to balance, right? To balance yourself. And for me, I loved the fact that he started to understand, compassion and humor and all of these things that really mean something to him, and how important they are around like harmony and how we can be and live in a harmonious way and state. And I think that's a way better way to put it than harmony or values can help us say no to things. Yeah. Values can really help connect us to a better place of harmony. And I think that was really powerful for me.
I liked that too. That was a really strong message. Cool. And you talk about harmony and balance, and next week is Thanksgiving, which means tactically we don't have class, and we were just talking, well, do we still do a podcast? And so here is Paul and Tiffany adding some balance and harmony to our lives. We're taking next week off, and we will be back the following week. So happy early Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and if not, just hope you're enjoying the fall. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for tuning in to the Career Boosters podcast. We hope you had a blast. Yeah, we know that's corny. Catch you next time, and remember to subscribe wherever you enjoy podcasts.